Alright, let's talk about a moment that feels like a tragic movie scene. Elvis Presley in 1976, completely exhausted, playing a matinee show in Virginia that fell flat. Now, I know what you're thinking. How did the king of rock and roll end up here? But stick with me, because this isn't just a story about a bad concert. It's a window into the price of fame, the dangers of burnout, and why we keep clinging to legends even when they are crumbling. Here's the hook. Imagine paying to see your hero, only to realize they are barely holding on. That's exactly what happened at the Hampton Coliseum. Elvis, 41 years old, drugged up, sleep-deprived, and emotionally drained, gave a performance so lifeless that one reporter compared the energy to a funeral. And yet, people still paid to watch. Why? Because they weren't there for Elvis the man. They were there for Elvis the myth. Let's unpack this. First, the logistics. Elvis was on a relentless tour, playing 2 shows a day, some nights until 2 a.m., only to start again at 2:30 p.m. the next afternoon. How does anyone function like that? Well, he didn't. He admitted to the crowd, "I only got 2 hours sleep. Good afternoon. God, that sounds strange. I just got up." That's not just exhaustion. That's a cry for help. But here's the thing, his fans didn't care. They screamed for the version of Elvis they'd built up in their heads, not the one physically standing in front of them. What makes this really interesting is the paradox of legacy. Elvis wasn't bad at singing, he still had that voice. But he was phoning it in. Songs like All Shook Up were rushed, disengaged. The spark was gone. And yet, when he randomly did Return to Sender, a song he hadn't played in years, the crowd lost it. Why? Because that's the Elvis they remembered, spontaneous, charismatic, alive. But here's the twist, he didn't plan that moment. He was winging it, and the fact that it stood out proves how much the rest of the show sucked. Now, let's get real. This wasn't just age or laziness. Elvis was drowning in prescription pills, reeling from his divorce, and financially unstable. His core team had abandoned him. Colonel Parker was pushing him to tour to stay afloat, but the real villain here is time. Time erodes everything, voices, bodies, relevance. And Elvis was racing against it. He knew he wasn't the same, but he kept performing because he didn't know how to stop. A detail I find fascinating. The scarves. Reporters noted how assistants handed him drinks and scarves between songs, which he'd toss into the crowd. To fans, those scraps were holy relics. But to Elvis, they were just props. He was going through the motions, handing out pieces of himself while literally falling apart. That little girl shouting, "I almost touched him." That's the heartbreak here. She wasn't seeing a decline. She was living a fantasy. And isn't that the ultimate tragedy? We want our icons to be immortal, but they are just people. So, what's the bigger picture? Elvis's story isn't unique. It's the same cycle we see today. Artists burning bright, then burning out, chased by deadlines, addictions, and the weight of their own legacy. His 1976 show was a warning. And yet, even in decline, he couldn't escape the pedestal we put him on. The real question is, why do we need legends to stay perfect? Why can't we let them be human? Let me leave you with this. Baz Luhrmann recently found footage of Elvis's 1972 tour, where he was still sharp, still magnetic. That's the Elvis we should remember. But the 1976 version. He's just as important. He's a reminder that even kings have cracks. And maybe, just maybe, we'd respect our icons more if we let them rest before they are gone.